Hi, I'm Eric Kelly from KellyPlanet.com. It's a close look at Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 7, Episode 10, Inheritance.
The Atrian government has requested assistance in averting a natural disaster. 2 of their geologists have come aboard, one of whom is a human who has been living on Atria 4.
Hey, that's Fionnuala Flanagan as Dr. Juliana Tainer. You might recognize her as Eloise Hawking, Daniel Faraday's mom from Lost. She's very Irish. The problem with their planet is the molten core has cooled, and that's causing all kinds of problems, which probably seems familiar if you've seen The Core from 2003. The plan is to drill into the planet, Atria, with phasers to plant plasma charges in a chain reaction to reliquefy the core. They use nukes in the movie I just mentioned. Sounds like a plan, so that's what they're going to do. But first, Dr. Tainer wants to talk to Data.
Have we met before?
Oh, Data, I was there. Right at the beginning on Omicron Theta. In a way, I suppose you could say, I am your mother.
Data's mom. I'm down with that. Data has no record of her because his memory was wiped before Omicron Theta was evacuated. We'll find out why later. For now, she tells him that they didn't take him along because there wasn't enough room in the escape pods. I don't think colonies have escape pods, but okay. Data has records of a Juliana, but her last name was O'Donnell. Yep, that's me. Nguyen and I eloped on Mavala 4 because I'm a lot younger than he is, and my mom was upset about that. Dr. Tainer finds out that Data has met Nguyen soon, and he says, yeah, that was right before his death. Oh, he's dead. She didn't know. She left him a long time ago because he worked too much. It's always justified somehow.
The important thing is that we're here now together.
This has been an interesting encounter. I would like to corroborate your story before we proceed further. Excuse me, Doctor.
Oh, Data doesn't believe her. Geordi says they can start doing the phaser drilling stuff in about an hour. So far, Data can't find any record of his dad getting married, but he does find passenger records of Nguyen and Juliana traveling to Mavala 4. He just can't understand why his father never mentioned her. Geordi says, well, she did leave him, and guides generally aren't too happy about that. Maybe he put those memories in your emotion chip you'll get to use eventually.
I admit I am finding it difficult to accept the possibility of a past about which I know nothing. But it is also true. I am curious to learn more about it.
So he finds Dr. Tainer and tells her, I would like to get to know you better, Mother, and she likes that. We find out she wanted Data to be female, but all the Soong-type androids were modeled after him, so that wouldn't work. She thinks it's great Data is going to see Deanna Troi, and he's like, no, Mom, she's my therapist. But she's like, hey, whatever, son. Here we go, 3 minutes until drill time. Dr. Tainer says she's going to adjust the settings as they go because things are so unstable. Until then, she tells stories about Data's childhood.
Some of the colonists objected to having an anatomically correct android running around without any clothes on. Oh, we asked you to dress, but you didn't feel it was necessary.
Fortunately, Riker calls up and says it's time to shoot stuff, so they do. And yay, the first one worked. It's going to be a while before they can shoot some more, for some reason, so we go to Data's quarters to hear some violin. We find out that Dr. Soong didn't think including artistic expression in Data's programming was necessary, since he was to have no emotions, but Juliana insisted, and he's glad she did, because it is then when he is closest to being human. She wants to play music with him later, so he replicates her viola quick, and then, oh yeah, Data paints too. And oh, there's Lal, Data's daughter.
Where is she now?
The positronic matrix I designed for her was unstable. She only lived a short time. In a sense, you were her grandmother.
So they practice a bit. She asks him if he ever plans on trying to reproduce again, and he says yes, but that bothers her because of how difficult it is. We find out that there were 3 prototypes before Lore, and we meet B4 and Nemesis almost 10 years later. And then Lore turned out to be pretty bad, so they took him apart, and Juliana was against creating any more androids. But Nguyen tried one more time.
Are you saying you were against my creation?
Initially I was, but I was wrong. I know that now. I've followed your progress for years. I'm very proud of what you've accomplished.
Now we get to something that was hinted at earlier. Data wonders why she never attempted to contact him all these years. Well, she feels guilty. Because she lied. There was room on the escape pod.
I was afraid if we reactivated you, you'd turn out like Lore. I made Nguyen leave you behind.
Well, that wasn't very nice. Oh, look, we're back to shooting holes in the planet. This time there's a problem, though. They hit magnesite. Magnesite's a real thing. I don't know why the phasers couldn't cut through that, unless it turned into magnesium oxide. Anyway, Dr. Tainer does some quick math in her head and adjusts the frequency. She says, oh, that was just luck, but it worked, and now it's time to go set the plasma thing up in the hole they drilled earlier. Data gave her an odd look previously, and now he's checking out her sweating, I guess. That Pran guy tells Data, yeah, I heard Juliana told you the truth, and I don't blame you for being mad. But, he can't be mad. And she says to Data, I hope you understand why I did what I did. Data's like, no, not really. Would you have left me on Omicron Theta if I'd been your biological child?
No, I wouldn't have left you behind if you'd been my biological child.
Is that because you place more value on biological life?
Absolutely not. I cherished every android your father and I created as if it were my child.
She says she is sorry for leaving him behind, and that's good enough for him. Time for some Hondo. I hope you aren't sad that I'm not playing any of this. We've heard plenty of violin on TNG over the last 7 years. And it's over. Yay. All of a sudden, we're in sickbay to see Bev, and Data wants to see Dr. Tainer's medical records. I guess there's no HIPAA laws in the future because she's just like, oh, well, here you go. But there's nothing wrong with her.
Then why do you want to see her medical records?
Because I have reason to believe she is not who she claims to be.
Bridge to Data.
Go ahead, sir.
There's been a cave-in in one of the magma pockets. You're needed in transporter room 2.
Looks like that Pran guy got injured, so it's up to Data and his mom to go fix the thing. Ooh, pattern enhancers. I bet they become a thing. Those two go on a hike through the caves, and I don't know why they show that shaft because it doesn't matter, and then they fix the thing. Well, almost, but the quakes are getting worse, so they better hurry. And, there we go. Oh no, the pattern enhancer poles are down there, and we can't beam up without them. We have to jump.
It's too far! I won't make it!
You will!
Yep, she's an android. There were little clues, but this really wasn't given away early.
Basically, she's a Sung-type android, except everything about her is designed to fool you into thinking she's human.
Why does the scanner read her as human?
Because she has a feedback processor designed to send out a false biosignal.
Data would have had to have known about this, otherwise he wouldn't have made her jump. Riker asks how. Well, she does math really fast. He also noticed that her eye blinks were not random, but governed by a Fourier series, only he would notice that. I'd explain what that is, but I can't. And then there was the concert.
We had practiced the piece, and I noticed she played it the same way during the performance. Every pitch, every intonation was exactly the same. Only an artificial life form could have done that.
Oh yeah, the Pran guy's her husband. I totally forgot about that, and it doesn't really matter. And Geordi found a micro SD card kind of thing in the android lady's forehead. Let's hook it up to the holodeck. Holy crap, that's Noonien Soong. We've seen him before as a younger man in Data's dreams, and as a much older man just before his death. This hologram is programmed with generic responses, but has a specific routine when he finds out Data is in the room.
I'm glad you got the chance to meet your mother. You referred to Dr. Tainer as my mother, yet the complexity of her design indicates she was created after I was. You're right.
It turns out there was a real Juliana O'Donnell, his wife, and Data's co-creator. But she was injured and eventually died when the crystalline entity attacked Omicron Theta. We find out by this point, Soong had been working on transferring brain synapses into a positronic matrix, and that is a reference to when Data's grandpa took over his body all the way back in Season 2's The Schizoid Man. Anyway.
A few days after Juliana died, I activated the android. She looked up at me and smiled. It had worked!
But like I said, we knew it would work because William Morgan Shepard did it 5 years ago. Anyway, he never told his android wife the truth, and as we also know, she eventually left him. He blames himself for all that, but it's not your fault, man. Well, what about now?
You put that chip back in, she will wake up and remember nothing. All you have to do is make up some excuse about what happened to her. And you do not believe she should know the truth. Truth.
As far as this guy's concerned, that android in sickbay is Juliana Soong, and she should believe that until she dies.
I programmed her to terminate after a long life. Let her live out her days and die believing she was human. Don't rob her of that, son.
Wow, Data has a lot on his plate. So they have a meeting about it. What's best for Juliana? Bev thinks the truth is the best. But Troy says, yeah, I don't think so. You just can't tell somebody, hey, guess what? You're not human. Picard reasons that she might find out eventually. Maybe it would be easier coming from her son. Bev says, yeah, I agree with that.
I find I am having difficulty separating what would be best for her from what would be best for me.
What do you mean?
If she knew she were an android, we would have something to share.
Yeah, Data's got a point, but would that be best for her? Data has wanted to be human all his life, and as far as Juliana is aware, she already is, so what to do? Data puts the chip back in her head and she wakes up, all smiles. She asks what happened, and Data tells her that they jumped off a cliff and she was knocked unconscious. Bev fixed her up and everything is fine. He doesn't tell her.
The infusion of plasma into the core of a Tria 4 has been accomplished. The core should remain molten for several hundred years.
It's time to say goodbye to Mom. There's a little fake out here. Data says there's something you should know, but he doesn't mention the android thing. Instead he says, my father told me
that he had only one great love in his life, and that he regretted never telling her how much he cared for her. I am certain he was referring to you.
She tells him that on Atreya, they say that a child born of loving parents will only have good in his heart, and that explains why Data is the way he is. Aw.
Take care of yourself, son.
Goodbye, Mother.
All right, Data has a mom. I like this episode, so let me start by picking on it. Early on, we hear that Noonien and Juliana eloped to Mavala 4. That's how she pronounces it, and that's how it's pronounced the entire show. It was supposed to be pronounced Mavala, according to the script, and all the computer screens spelled it Malaya, different departments. The hologram version of Dr. Soong that was stored inside Juliana the android informs Data that android Juliana eventually left him, as the real Juliana probably would have done. How would hologram Soong be aware of this? When he was programmed, they were still together. Fionnuala Flanagan was on Trek once before on Deep Space Nine. We'll see her again as a Vulcan on Enterprise. I think it was interesting that the character with the most fleshed out family in all of Trek, by far, is an android. We've already seen that Data has an evil twin brother Lore, his father Noonien Soong, his grandfather Ira Graves, his mother Juliana. We'll meet his brother B4 in Nemesis, Eric Soong on Enterprise, Altan and Adam Soong will show up on Picard, all of which masterfully portrayed by Brent Spiner. I like how Data had to choose what to do at the end, and I would have chosen the same. I also appreciate that they didn't blatantly telegraph the truth about Juliana until the last second. I'll give you a heads up, there are 3 really good episodes coming up in a row, and this is the first. I'm doing 4 deltas out of 5. You let me know how you feel about that. If you like that video, thank you, like it, subscribe, make a comment if you want to. There's more Star Trek videos and related content on my website. Check it out at kellyplanet.com. I'm Eric Kelly. Live long and prosper.